I am live. Get excited. All right, so let's see. My hair's going every which way today. All right. There we go. Let's go ahead and get this recording up and running. 42. Duplicate. 39. Automation with applications. This is a test. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. All right. I think we are pretty much good to go. Automation with applications. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and get this show on the road here. Let's do a really quick test. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Always testing 1, 2, 3. Perfection. Let us rock. What is going on? What is going on, you guys? This is Scott Johnson here with Brains Brawn and the BS that comes with it. Super glad you guys could join me today. Today is the last in our series of 3 podcasts. I am going live right now, just to kind of, get used to it and kind of figure it out. Figured out a really neat automation tool called StreamYard. We'll get into that a little bit later. But just wanted to take some time to talk to you today and kind of recoup just for a second what we talked about the last couple of times. So we've been focusing on automation. All right, well, what is the purpose of automation? For you to reclaim your time. You have finite time on this earth. And, why would someone want to spend it doing things that they don't want to do every single day? It just makes no sense to me. And, of course, there's a lot of people who are happy with what they're doing. They want things to stay the same. Totally cool with that too. All right. But I just wanted to make sure that we're laying it out for you guys, showing you other options to help to improve your life. Like we always say, we're here to connect the dots between financial and physical well-being. All right. Also, I know we've been pretty scant on the Luke crushed it when it came to the health and fitness side of things. I'm more of the business side, but I've got a couple of things coming in the pipeline a couple of interviews that are really going to kind of pep it up and really look into some really important stuff. So recently, a couple updates when it comes to automation in my life and how I'm using it in my business currently. I actually have been using a website, basically a website server called Carrot. All right, Investor Carrot is what some people may know it as. And I just a couple of days ago entered into the 30-day challenge. All right, so right now we're running on what's called the hamster wheel. All right, obviously I'm a wholesaler in Greenville, North Carolina. And what we're doing is we are, of course, getting lists. We have a cold call team to call them. And we're just kind of hitting the hamster wheel, sending out mailers. Our buddy Mike, who I'm actually going to get on the podcast coming up here, super knowledgeable guy. He's been doing this since the early 2000s, saw the crash. I'm super excited to get him on the show. So I got that coming too. But anyway, so I already lost my train of thought. Well, shit, I'm terrible at this. Oh, yeah. So 30-day challenge, right? So I did start 30-day challenge. And one of the things that I'm proud to say I'm doing now is actually drinking agua, i.e. water. What's really interesting is one of the key points, one of the challenges was that we need to drink 140, 120 ounces of water a day. So I went out, spent like $6 on this thing. It's a big water jug, gives me 32 ounces. I drink it 4 times out of the day. And so far, I'm feeling a lot better. Honestly, I'm one of those people who would just drink a crap load of coffee and not eat really well. I'm still not really eating like I should be. But at the same time, and when I say not eating like I should be, I don't eat complete garbage all the time. It's just a matter of I don't really eat that much. Like right now, I'm starving, but whatever. We'll get over it. All right, guys. So basically, hold on. Decline. Give me a sec. I got to turn off all of my. There we go. Had a phone call coming in. All right. So automation. Let's go ahead and get rolling on this. But Investor Carrot is that tool that I use, and we'll talk about that here in just a little bit. First thing I wanted to do was recap a little bit on the VAs, or virtual assistants, because they go hand in hand with automation in this. All right. So what do I mean by that? Well, when it comes to automation, of course, it's taking things off of your plate and automating those processes using people and applications so that you don't have to spend time doing it. That way, you reclaim your time, but still get the same amount of work done. But what do these virtual assistants rely on in order to do that work? Applications. But to top that off, we can set it up to where if a VA or virtual assistant does something in one application, it can automatically update that in another application. And what that does is it just basically makes a streamlined process so that if they do one little thing, all of a sudden it updates 50 different things, and boom, you are officially just obliterated your productivity and you're saving yourself some time. All right. Well, I don't like to save time. I like to say regain time. Saving time is like saving dollars. It's stupid. All right. Who the hell is going to let their money sit there getting 2%, 1% interest, and inflation, which is the devaluation of your money? Go back to episode number 1. That's going to teach you all that you need to know about inflation, and you're literally losing value. It's legitimately a way for the government to tax us without us knowing about it because, most people are ignorant of the fact that inflation takes their money. But if we need to revisit that, we will. Just send me a message. You guys have been great about emailing me and kind of shooting out some questions and stuff. So, all right. So VAs and apps unite, super important. Now let's talk about the power or some powerful automation applications. Because look, you may not be a business owner. You may be an employee, and that's totally cool, right? But the big thing is that, and sometimes it's so funny because I would love, listen, if you guys use any of these automation things in your job where you're supposed to do everything, right? I really want you to report back to me and tell me how that goes because, God, I wish I did this when I was in Bellamy and even when I was United Insurance Company of America. All right. But some really powerful automation tools that you can use to kind of free up your time. Let's dive in and do a deep dive into one of the ones that I've been super excited about recently, and that is called Zapier. Now, not sure if you guys have heard of Zapier before. Essentially, Zapier is set up as a bridge between two applications that are online, right? So what that means is if A happens, then B happens in this other application. And I found that it is one of the most powerful things I've seen in my life. Let me bring up Zapier here really quick. So one thing, here's an example of how I use it. All right. So I, of course, I'm looking for properties. Well, I use an app called Deal Machine. All right. And Deal Machine allows me to enter things into basically take pictures of properties, drive around, look for them. It now has a cool thing where I highlight the properties that are like, they've owned it for 10 years and have over 50% equity. So I can just kind of tap them and not have to worry about driving around so much. But essentially what I'm able to do with that is say I add a property. Well, as soon as I add that property, it's automatically going to add it as a lead in my, basically a unfound lead in my Podio, which we'll get into in a second. And then what it'll do from there is I, of course, have guys who skip trace these guys, find their phone numbers. Then I have, of course, the next level. After they're all skip traced, they get added to another list, and our cold callers just start obliterating it and calling them and saying, "Hey, you want to sell your house?" Right? And so, and of course, the process goes from there. But I wouldn't be able to do it as effectively if I didn't have Zapier. All right, so a couple of applications, that's my application, but some of the other things that I found that are super important, and I can relate to this, are the Gmail. Okay, again, I say the Gmail connections. All right, so I'm looking at Zapier right now. One of them is save new Gmail attachments to Google Drive. All right, well, let's say you guys, I would have definitely used this at Bellamy. So we used to get leases all the time, right? And people would mail them to us or mail us some documents. I could automatically set it up to where if a document comes in, it will automatically save it into a folder in Google Drive. That way I don't have to fish through all of the mail. I mean, obviously these companies are getting a lot better at sorting mail. I got to tell you, they're doing a really good job. I use one called Spark, which is a fantastic automation tool. And what it does is it divides up your different emails or types of emails into different lists. So essentially you have the personal emails, you have the notification emails, you have the spam, of course, that we never see. And there was another one, I think it was like subscriptions, right? Yeah, notifications, newsletters, and personal. Newsletters is where all the garbage goes, pretty much, right? But setting it up with Zapier to where you can actually have your Gmail documents get sent over into a certain Google Drive, that makes it to where you pop open your phone, Google Drive on your phone, you look inside and bada boom, you're done, right? You have all your documents there. Hey, did you get that document I sent you 3 days ago? No, but here, let me see. Oh, there it is. Makes it super easy. On top of that, right? And you can actually stack these things too. It's freaking ridiculous. So on top of that, and you could do the same with Dropbox on this too, put it into a folder on Dropbox. So when I had my computer repair company, I had a buddy, Chris, he owned a home healthcare agency and I was kind of his go-to tech guy, right? So I was in charge of setting up the automation and different processes. Well, I always had trouble because they use a certain software and I wanted them to use Dropbox for all the automation, but certain documents had to be downloaded onto the computer and then drug over to Dropbox. And I had found something at the time that worked, but they had to pay for it and it was just kind of like sloppy, right? Where it automatically copied it after a certain period of time or whatever's in the folder, copied it over to Dropbox, right? But now, like say you have a document that comes in and you want to go directly to your Google Drive, perfect, because it goes into your Google Drive folder. But then guess what? There's also an automation where you can copy your new Google Drive files into a specific Dropbox folder. If anyone has ever lost all of the data on their computer before because it went bad, okay, I can't claim to have had that happen except when I'm using a Windows computer. I will be 100% honest with you. But if that's ever happened to you and you've wished, oh my freaking Lord, why did I not have a backup? Here is your backup, my friends, right? But what that means is that it'll automatically copy anything you put into Google Drive or vice versa, Dropbox, into your Google Drive and save it multiple places. All of a sudden, you have it in your email backed up, you got it on your Google Drive, and you've got it on your Dropbox. What the hell is not to love about that? Okay. And of course, some people are like, I know some of you guys are like, well, I don't want to spend the money on it. Hell, I don't blame you. I don't want to spend the money on it either. We're working on doing some automation things with Brains, Brawn, and BS to where we can record and then just have, my buddy Ryan go ahead and just upload and, cut it, not cut. We're not going to cut anything. We're going to keep the content full, even if we screw up. But, having him go ahead and fix it, make it sound great, upload it with the name and description to Buzzsprout, which is an excellent automation tool, by the way, for podcasting. And, those are some of the things that we're working on, right? So there's a lot of other things you can do. Like, let's say you're doing something for school, okay? Let's say you're still in like college or whatever, and you need to do, I don't know, some type of, I had to do a couple of things where I had to do some surveys, right? And I had to figure all that out. Or maybe if you're in business and you want to send out an email that says, hey, how are we doing or whatever? Well, you can actually set it up to where Google Forms, one of the zaps they have is Google Forms will automatically, like let's say you want to collect emails or whatever, will automatically take and add the emails or entries from the form onto MailChimp. All right. Or, obviously it automatically puts it into a spreadsheet, but you can all of a sudden, if that spreadsheet is updated, have it backed up into Google Drive, yada, yada, yada. All right. If you use any type of documents, things like that, it is an absolute just wonder. All right. So Zapier, that's number one. That's the one I really wanted to cover. And I think I spent a little too much time on that. So we are moving the hell on. All right. So what do we got next? Next one up is let's talk about Carrot first. So Carrot, like I was telling you before, is a website that helps you to generate leads for realtors or real estate investors. It is literally, I literally should not have paid the $500 to have them set the site up because it literally takes like 20, 30 minutes to do so. All right. So, but Carrot, what you do is you sign up, you put it up on the website or on the internet. And if you want to check it out, just search, or you can actually Google sell my house fast in Greenville, North Carolina. And you're going to see PPP buys houses come up on the list. Well, what they do is they automate getting you higher Google rankings for your website. Because of course, what happens, right? I mean, if I search for something, am I going to go to page 10 or even page 2? Hell no, I'm not going to. Excuse me. I trust Google to say, okay, listen, based on your search, I think this is going to help you the most, right? And so they automate that by, being able to automatically put you up there to start ranking, depending on your city. There could be a lot of competitors to start ranking for certain keywords like sell my house fast or whatever. But then you have the ability to start adding more keywords or adding more content. They have full training right now. Like I said, I'm doing that 30-day challenge and they're training us to, be able to acquire more leads by getting more traffic to our site. Right? Super, super important automation tool. In fact, a lot of the stuff that I'm doing right now comes from the talks that the owner, Trevor, the founder of it, that he has been implementing. because there's a lot of shifts in the market going on right now. And I actually will talk about that later on too, not in this episode. All right. So Carrot. Now, also what I do is I have my Carrot leads. If someone fills out the form on my Carrot site, it goes to Zapier, and then it goes to my Podio. So let's go ahead and talk about Podio. Now, Podio in and of itself does do some automation. All right. Now, what is Podio? All right. Podio is meant to be, oh crap, what was it originally intended for? Project management is what it was originally intended for. And so you have a lot of, developers and or web developers and artists and, the web designers and things like that. They're using it at, how it was originally going to be used. But then people like me, investors, started looking at it and saying, hey, I can actually make this a little bit easier by automating small tasks. Like if I do this, then like if I add or click a button that says, yes, they're interested in buying or selling their house, it can automatically create another lead in a different application because it divides it up into apps. All right. And I can kind of filter those out. That way I can focus more on those, or I can take some of the information, copy it to a different area, archive it, whatever, right? Podio is extremely powerful in and of itself. And it's but the only downside to it is if you want to use Podio, you better damn well be ready to go ahead and get it set up, because it is not it's not out of the box. There are certain things you can buy, and it's not really buy, you can download them. I don't think you can really pay for the Podio things that are already set up. But you can actually, you can use them, right? Some things are out of the box, but it's fully customizable. You customize the fields, you customize the processes, you customize every damn thing. Now, if you don't want to deal with that, it's not going to be an option that you want to use. But for me, when I learned about the back end of it, i.e. Globoflow, which we're about to talk about, that's when shit started getting real. Okay. So Podio is basically, let's just say, the CRM, right? That's the basic stuff, right, that you need to manage leads or whatever. But when it comes down to it, Globoflow is where the power comes in. All right. So let me pop up Globoflow here so I can kind of walk through it and talk to you about it. So Globoflow is extremely interesting because it allows you to set up different services automatically, kind of like Zapier does, where you connect two applications. But what I use it for personally is I use it in conjunction with a couple of different things. First, and because this is Citrix, and Citrix is like, this huge freaking company that has so many different things going on, that you're obviously going to be able to find ways to use it that'll be effective. So Citrix also has something called Right Signature. Right Signature is $15 a month for upwards of 100 contracts that you can get digitally signed each month. Right. First off, if you are doing digital contracts for any reason and you're using DocuSign, stop that. $15 a month and I can do 100 contracts a month. That's freaking ridiculous. All right. So, but bringing that back around, now what I can do is in Podio, right? I can set up a form in Podio that says, okay, I need the name, the date, the amount that we're buying the house for, what the down payment is. And I put them all in little fields in Podio. And on the back end in Globoflow, I create a task. And what that does is when I, let's say, click a button in Podio, it will automatically generate a document to be signed, send it to be signed. And once it is signed by me and by them or by whoever, right, it'll automatically add it back into that item in Podio. Mic drop, right? So all of a sudden, instead of clicking, going to DocuSign, uploading, selecting the fields, all that garbage, all of a sudden we are able to go into Globoflow, set it up, design the document, and then boom, have it shot out. And guess what? If you don't want to do that, I totally get it. So automate even more by going to a place like Fiverr or Guru or some other place where you can hire someone to do that for you. All right. Is it going to cost money? Yes. But the question is, what's more important, money or time? And a lot of people are going to say time, money, but honestly, to me, it's different. I'm going to shift in my life to where, time is a lot bit more important when it comes down to it. All right. All right. So Global Flow, other things you can do with Global Flow with Podio coupled together. Okay. I can also send text messages, right? And emails automatically. I can generate PDF documents that will just automatically pop up here on my page. I can also set it to where every, let's say 2 days, 3 days, it creates the report based on certain criteria and exports it into Excel format. So all of a sudden, I can get an entire list of the leads that said, F you, I don't want you calling me anymore, right? On top of that, if they say don't call me anymore, I can make it to where our callers click a button and it'll automatically add to a do not call list. And it's just ridiculous. All right. And so the cool thing is it's a snowball effect with these automations. You start with one thing, then you think, hey, this could make it easier. You connect it. All right. Then you say, well, every time I'm doing a document and sending it, it saves it. I also need to make sure that I'm keeping good track of which ones are, of how many documents I've done. Cool. Have it automatically tell you every Thursday or Friday, hey, you've received or had signed this many contracts, and here's a list of them. I mean, it's just stupid how awesome it is. Okay. So Global Flow is absolutely amazing as well. Let's see. Is there anything else I do? Oh yeah. You can also send and receive calls in Podio. I use smartphone. That way everything is kind of in my Podio, in my CRM. So whatever I do, I gave a login to our skip tracers. I gave a login to our cold callers. And then of course my partners and we have our logins as well. And so all I do is say, hey, go skip trace, and boom. In fact, let me check right here. Yeah, they are working on it right now. Okay. Skip tracing leads. And then we have our buddy Gene. He is currently calling our leads. And it's just a beautiful thing. All right. All right. So you can also send SMSs and all that good stuff. Perfect. So let's move on. StreamYard. This is something I'm brand new to. In fact, you're seeing this, and this is the first time I've ever used it. All right. So StreamYard is essentially a way for us to record, or not record, but to go live on multiple platforms. All right. Now it looks like we got to pay $20 a month in order to go live on 2, because I'm looking to do this on YouTube and on Facebook at the same time. And then of course, give you guys the podcast on the next week, but also just to do some other lives, some other stuff to provide more content for you, because I've had a couple things pop into my mind and I'm like, man, I would love to tell you guys about that super quick. And it's just, the processes are not easy enough right now for me to do that, because you guys know me well enough now to know I am a lazy son of a bitch. All right. If I don't have to do something and I can throw a few dollars in a direction, not a lot, but a few dollars, and get it done automatically, I am 100% will continue to do that. All right. Okay. Actually, then so I kind of just want to wrap it up there, because ultimately those are some of the most powerful apps that I've personally been using to automate processes. And there's so much more out there. ClickSend allows you to send SMS messages in bulk. I mean, of course, MailChimp, you can automate using Zapier or just inside MailChimp, Also, if you're sending out an email every now and then to people like prospects, heck, hire a VA to freaking do it, because it takes them a few minutes or, maybe an hour to do it, pay them $12 an hour. And then all of a sudden you've automated that process too. And they schedule it. Right now, I got our buddy Meisel. He was on our last podcast. He was the VA I was talking to. He wants me to call him Mike because it's easier, but I try my best to call people by their real name, even if I'm terrible at it, but it is Meisel. But basically, he is now taking our posts on our We Buy Houses website And he's actually making a Facebook post and posting that up there every time we have a blog post that comes out. Now I'm also doing a lot more video content too, which honestly, that might be something to talk about at some point, is providing video content and building authority. I'm learning a lot about it, and it is not my speciale, but man, if I can find someone who's qualified to come up here and talk to you guys about it, it's super powerful. And we're already seeing results from what we're doing. Okay. So video content is key. Anyway, guys, I really appreciate you guys coming out here today. And there's one other thing I wanted to cover. And I'm not getting political on the show. There's no way in hell I'm actually going to do it. But the thing is I came up with something that I wanted to make sure that I had set in stone. Something that lets people know that I actually said it because I have a feeling that it might come to fruition. I don't know. I'm not telling people how to vote. I really don't care. What I believe is vote for who you believe is best for you and your family. All right. And I want everyone to train all their kids to do the exact same thing. I don't give a shit what anyone else says about who I'm voting for. It is based on me and who I believe in, not America. Okay. Look, one person saying, oh, this is best for America. Yeah. Well, who the fuck are you? You really think that it's better for America? Well, do you know everyone in America? It's like our representatives that are like, hey, this is not good for America. Why don't you focus on the people you're representing, and we'll move forward from there. Anyway, and that's not taking sides. It's Democrats and Repulsivekins. I don't give a crap. All right. It's either one. They both do it. All right. So anyway, to go ahead and throw out this forecast here. Okay. So obviously, if you're in America, and even if you're outside of America, we got a lot of viewers out there that are currently, I know you guys are keeping tabs on it, right? Because what happens in America tends to affect a lot of the world. And what we're seeing now is and this is a palpable here in America, is we are seeing the silent majority coming up and rallying behind the current president, right? That is happening, and it is all over. I can't wear, a Trump hat and not have people come up to me and say, hey, yeah, I love your hat. They're kind of quiet about it. It's really funny. But we are also seeing desperation on the other side of the table. There have been a couple things that have come down the pipeline. Of course, prior to the president winning, he had the other side saying, hey, we're going to impeach him if he wins. And of course he won. They threw a couple things at him, and they said, hey, listen, well, you colluded with Russia. Okay, well, we're going to impeach you because of all this. You fired this person who did right to fire. I don't know, whatever. So, but you can tell in the address recently that is palpable hatred, and they are getting pretty desperate. And so what you're seeing all these career politician candidates coming up, and guess what? They're not gaining traction. All right. So we are seeing a really big shift here. The boomers, for so many years, it was whoever could talk the best, whoever had the best, obviously still the policies are extremely important, but we're seeing something else here. We're seeing people come out of the woodwork from different areas and walks of life and starting to show interest and be, in the running for the presidency. And I got to tell you, it's not always career politicians anymore. It is businessmen. It is other people like actors, people who already have a brand for themselves. So, and because of that, because there is so much desperation right now, since there is not a candidate that really, and this is opinion, obviously, so take it for what it's worth. There's not a person right now who really has any chance of being able to unseat the current president. But I personally believe that there are some people that are going to come out of the woodwork, and they are going to be big names in the entertainment industry. In fact, my prediction, because I know that this is like a hell of a card to play, because even as it stands right now, it would be a hell of a card to play, because it would just be, it would come from left field, and this person would rally so much support. It's just ridiculous. All right. So, not taking sides on anything. I want you to draw your own conclusions, but my forecast is if the desperation gets to a head, which it's coming close to, I believe that you're going to see Oprah Winfrey start running for president. And why do I say that? Well, because she's probably the most powerful woman in America right now, right? This chick she knows her stuff, all right? And she's got a very big backing. And most of the time look back as far as you want, but certain sides of the aisle, I hate sides of the aisle. I think everyone should sit together. I hate political parties. Stupidest idea in the world. It just separates people. All right. But I believe that she has enough support to certainly put up a good fight when it comes down to it. And I wanted to make sure I was keeping this between me and my uncle. But at the same time, since there's a platform, I got to at least put it out there and say, hey, listen, I believe that this person is probably going to go ahead and start running for president if they get too desperate. All right. You could say Ellen DeGeneres, and, but the big thing is I'm not sure that there's enough support for the woman right now being a woman president. There is. But I'm not seeing it from the gender aspect of it. All right. So anyway, obviously that's a little off topic, and I totally get it. You guys, if you don't like me because of that, then unsubscribe. I don't care. We're going to have people up here that we're helping, and we're going to continue doing so. All right. So if you guys have any questions, I want to wrap it up. Automation, super important. Make sure that you're looking at it from different angles every day. If you have questions about how you can automate your processes better or just want some advice, feel free to reach out. I'm no expert, but I can definitely help you with that. Just kind of bounce some ideas off you and things like that. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for listening to this episode of Brains, Brawn, and BS. We have some really, really cool stuff coming down the pipeline. Let's see. Next one. Oh yeah. Next episode. I know that we've all been thrown out of our comfort zone from time to time. All right. But what do you do? What do you do if you have to get thrown out of your comfort zone? Right? I mean, obviously we don't like to. We as species retract and we're like, we resist change. But what happens if that change is staring you right in the face? What happens if you walk up, if you're sitting in your office or in your cubicle and your boss walks up to you and says, you're fired? Yeah, it's pretty powerful stuff, right? What happens if all of a sudden your significant other says, hey, we're pregnant? Yeah. Or what if one of your partners in business says, hey, I'm done? I mean, it's just, there's so much change that goes on in the world, and we are conditioned to resist change. So what is one thing you can do? One thing to help to prepare you for that next step? What is it? And we're going to talk about that on our next episode of Brains, Brawn, and BS. Thanks so much for coming out, guys. Really appreciate you. Keep emailing us questions. I love talking to you guys. And make sure to follow us on Instagram at Brains, Brawn, and BS. All right, y'all. Have a fantastic day, and I will talk to you next time.